Hi guys, Troublemaker here with another great Wargame Red Dragon match. Today I'm doing something slightly different, and I will be doing this from here on out. I'm actually broadcasting. I'm broadcasting live on Steam. So if you go to my name, Troublemaker, no E in trouble, you'll be able to select to broadcast, and I've made it open and available to everyone. Easiest way to find me is through my username, which is VEFED. Used to be the name of the website that I used to have in the 90s. That made me all my monies. And then I sold it. Anyway. Yeah, I've been broadcasting quite a bit. Mostly just my personal games, but now I'm going to broadcast live these casts. I'm always very unsure of myself in my own personal games, but then at the end of the day, the scoreboard seems to indicate that I'm doing really much better than I thought I was. I just get really upset over every loss. But that doesn't matter because this is actually going to be a cast. A whole-on Steam broadcast. And in the blue corner, we have Fart Nugget and Fussel. Now, Fart Nugget is not clearly his name. He is actually Firestarter, who we know and love on this channel for his non-standardized tactics. And on this side, the red 4 side, we have Razzman, with the name Sorry I Don't Pub Stomp, and Zerydal. In AirLand Battle, these guys would have been second tier team members, but as you can tell by the ranks here, being equal to the better players in the game, they've done very well for themselves. They have become fine, young gentlemen players all around. So this is a 1v1 map, which means that income is going to be split 50%, and that we're going to have a pretty darn low income match. Generally with 2v2, tactics do change up a little bit on this map. Generally with 1v1, you have a pretty strong push down the middle, because this is where the air route is, and if you lose this, you lose the game, and you usually have a light push down here into Delta Charlie. And 1v1, it's so bad that usually you're not even fighting over anything here for quite a while. Some key towns to take. This area is very, very important. That is a base you fight over. And obviously this little town here is important. But yes, if you can get over all the way over here, that's great as well. This is what would be called your safe base. You know, you should both rush towards this base here, because this is also the linking route into here. And having said that, we're about to go, and we shouldn't see any sort of aircraft here. This map doesn't really favor aircraft openers. You can kind of get away with napalming this area here, but it's so close to the rally point, and there's no bridge or anything along those lines, that it's not that worthwhile. Now, having said that, there is a bridge over here, and this side does more often than not get napalmed. Yeah, it's too short of distance. You can get some really cheap air superiority fighters out to actually kill off the bomber very quickly. It really ever pays off, just because of how insanely potent some of these units can be, and it's very risky to have just one Patriot to start off the match. That's going to be very, very scary. And as you can see, Firestarter here is playing the US deck. And there is some so-calls coming here, along with a single group. Z9A, that could be a lot of things. I'm going to guess Legion. And yeah, there's a Legion. So the Sokols will wipe out the Puma HCL perhaps, yes, and gets rid of one of the infantry squads and is trying to chase down this Kyo. And here comes that napalm bomber right off the bat. He spotted where the Legion are going to go, and he's going to drop where they're going to go or where they were. It looks like he's going for where they were. So will not block them from entering at all. And Legion get in a great position, as well as a lot of forces being rallied here for Zerydal. A very nice concave being established here by Fussel on the south and Firestarter on the north. And as you can see here, both teams have done the same basic division of responsibilities. You have Firestarter, and looks like Razzman taking this northern flank. And then there's this flank here, which is Firestarter and Zerydal. And then when we go down to the south, well, look at that. We have Razzman and Fussel. Now the big distinction here is in proportions. We're seeing a lot more proportions going into Delta. We're seeing a lot less heading into Alpha. And with that said, Fussel is moving how far up is the question. This forest here is going to be a very, very good spot, but a Z9 will spot a Lynx sliding across here. These forests can also play very, very importantly, as you can get units all the way across here, all the way over here, and through the back here. Yes. This looks like it's going to be an RDS, that's your anti-air infantry, and also going to drop another anti-tank unit. Might be able to pick up one of these WZ551s, which of course are part of the Red Dragon's deck that we're seeing here. It looks like a Eastern Bloc and a Red Dragon's deck. The Twardy is a super heavy tank, and it's actually really unusual to see a big giant battle like this on this side. Generally speaking, there's at least some sort of pushing that happens here, but it seems that Razzman is just happy to hold on to these towns here. He's not even going to try and contest this, given the small size of his army. He's actually playing a meta that is so meta right now, realizing that battle eventually becomes useless. He is instead focusing on the south, and with the Tankei Shashus firing on this TGB, it should not last long. Having said that, BTR taken one hit so far. Maybe the next one? I don't know. There's the anti-tank weapons are not quite in range right now, so probably not. Nope. Twardy pushing a little bit forward, trying to wipe off as many of these infantry as possible. None of these guys are SMA. SMA is a short-range missile that does excessively high amounts of damage, has a good trigger time, and really smash through. And the Vajra is your auto cannon, so it's going to smash through. What did we just see here? A Hornet being rallied in to try and pick out that Twardy. And he pulls back the Twardy, but he actually doesn't need to, because that was just the one. There's no other ones coming. He's going to have to bank for quite a while to get another one coming in here. And it looks like the Vajra will get stunned in position, losing lots of health. And at this point, the amount, the position you have to get into the jungle will be just too great. And here comes the Phantom Bomber. Might lose this Vajra too, which, keep in mind, is just a unit carrier. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's a unit carrier for these Walker regiments, so it's not a terrible loss. Now, currently, slight advantage is actually going to Firestarter and Fussel. They have a +1. Where? It's right here, because the Foxtrot doesn't have a base yet. But that will get eradicated pretty soon. But it's a very, very sizable lead. You're looking at almost a fifth. 20% of all points have been captured already by Firestarter and Fussel, which means that when this base here, Delta, gets activated, it will have to get activated rather quickly, and they should be able to hold it. Now, here's an interesting tactically present thing here. He put napalm on this forest, because if there's anything in the forest here at all, he wants it to be weakened so these Fusiliers can come and finish them off. Why is he pushing from the south here? Well, if he loses this forest, then we can have a stage of units along here that could fire into here relatively easily. They could also potentially charge down into here. This base here, as you know, has no real infantry count. It has an anti-air infantry, and it has an anti-tank infantry. That's it. This place can get overrun very quickly. If this place gets overrun, then this place gets overrun. This 2-point base, which is very important. A Charlie Hebdo base, if you will. So he can take all these units, and he can put them right here, if he wants. But that's the passive approach. The alternative is he puts an anti-tank weapon to cover this entire area here, and he charges into the woods with infantry right here to try and fight this, so that he can potentially clear Delta. Also, as long as he has infantry here, it's going to be very hard to place a command here, because these will constantly be threatening that command. So it seems kind of wonky and weird, but this is actually a pretty smart play, especially considering that they've gotten this massive lead right now. I think, generally speaking, lesser players would actually probably come through this road or down this road, and that's why the Conquerors is here, because we're talking about a team of guys who are trying to stay ahead of the tactics by playing tactics that are less expected, and U.S. Marines will in fact walk across as well. There are still some U.S. Marines in here, perhaps they will join the fray. Now, only one problem for this tactic. I think it's doomed to fail. Legion are your napalm launchers. They are very powerful against infantry, and to even have a chance at this, he's going to have napalm on this area. If he would have napalmed this area instead of this area, he would have been a lot better off. But, I mean, in terms of the pure tactical value of what he did, in terms of what people normally do, that was great. Because normally people will line these forests with units. And as you can see, there's a pretty big difference between how these guys play and how, you know, a pug would play. They have everything spread out very well. Even the vehicles are spread out amongst many, many flanks. So that makes a world of difference. I mean, we're not talking about players who are, you know, your bottom rung, who, no offense, but the players who you beat yesterday. These are some of the best. And the LSTR 40 nailing on these Pioneer squads. Pioneers, of course, are your napalm infantry. They have the flamethrowers. That means that they will actually flame in an area and burn the ground. This makes it very hard for pushing, but if you can get a fire position in a town where you know there are infantry, they can do pretty well. Oopsie, looks like a single plane will go down. No idea which one this was. Maybe the runes could tell us something. I don't think so. Looks like a radar plane. Pioneers begin their napalm. Oh, actually, it's probably this napalm plane here. Yeah. Now the fire in the back here is also very cleverly plotted out. It covers most of the front town except for one, and it isolates a lot of units. So they'll be able to pick off quite a few units here. The U.S. Marines are all getting pretty well walk regimented right now. I was going to say wrecked, but I went with walk regimented. And they're trying to poke down the Legions, who are at this unfortunate point where they kind of almost have to always move. And Legion, as we're expecting, kind of just wrecking these guys. Walk Regiment taking on Fusiliers and winning. The Legion will go down, of course, with the LVTP support. It's got this frag grenade power. And Walk Regiment will do good stuff. GB Band in place. That means we have a command here, and we have a +1 blade beginning commence for Razzman and Zerydal. And before I said they were kind of like tier 2 players, but that was in the AirLand Battle. They were, I think, backup players on Clash of the Clans. I think there are a few of their matches on this channel, and now they're doing exceptionally good, as you can see by the fact they have a +1. But whoa, what happened? Oh, they're moving the GB band? No, it's been neutralized. Aha! 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 And here comes another JS7H, and it's going to drop that bomb. Stinger fires, knocking it out, and so close to picking it off, but not quite. Now, a lot of people are noticing that when you stack your anti-air units, they have higher accuracy values, and that's the same with your anti-tank weapons. So the old common knowledge was to separate your anti-air units into smaller groups so you can spread them around the map. And that knowledge still stands still. But if you're looking to concentrate on one specific area, this is the way to go. You know, you don't have these two guys side by side. You just join them together. And with that said, we're going to be looking at a pretty long game, it looks. Not going to see a lot more drain happening here. Now this position here, and this is worth mentioning, is a little bit better than it could be, but not as bad as it should be. As you can see here, Zerydal saying attack. The most common position on this map to place a command is in this area here. This is only slightly better because it's, you know, still within that giant reticle. If he was to move it closer to the road right here, that'd be the absolute best possible position. It becomes very, very difficult to actually find good spots to plant commands if you're on the blue 4 side on this particular map. I would even say that leaving it out in the open right here might be an even better location, just because it's almost impossible to gain vision of that particular location. So we're going to start seeing a lot of artillery coming out, and we have these mortars here coming from Firestarter. And from Red 4, do we have any? No, none at all, actually. Not yet, at least. So we have a continued march of infantry coming up here. Fusiliers, U.S. Marines, Pioneers, and worth noting, even though I'm focusing on this, nothing else is happening on any other fronts. We have a woods push up here by Fussel, and it's a very, very small. Like, Fussel's actually contributing to this push as well. Very, very small, very unimportant. Probably won't go anywhere. And on this northern front, everyone's actually kept all of their forces in the exact same position where we left them last time we were talking on Dragon Ball Z. So there's that side of things. And yeah, it looks like complete push out here. Yeah, Firestarter and Fussel, the blue 4 teams, the blue 4 boys being completely pushed out. There is a Granato Met AGS 17 also in here. This is a very, very long range anti-infantry weapon. They can hit 2 to 3 blocks, and by blocks I mean, like, you know, a block in a town away. So they'll be very, very good with dealing with this infantry rush. And Zerydal has completely reinforced this area. He's probably want to get that Granato Met AGS 17 into a good position. And with the SPU 80s coming here, getting some free pot shots off on the U.S. Marines. I'm surprised that Firestarter hasn't gotten some tanks out yet. But speak of the devil, here are some CEVs. Now CEVs are, of course, not they are tanks, but they're not the highest of tanks. They're actually more along the lines of anti-vehicle and a little bit of anti-infantry, but definitely not a tank that destroys tanks like the Twardy over here. And this is the exact choice he needs. A light tank does very, very well here. And these ones are rather unusual because they're very artillery-like. They have this really weird effect where they shoot up a little bit. Yeah, there it is. You can kind of see it. He shoots up a little bit, which is currently, I think, very aesthetic. But in previous versions of the game, this would actually allow them to shoot over terrain, which was gladly removed as a feature because it was just ridiculous. Now here's what I'm talking about, the range of the Granato Met, by the way. You know, 1, 2, so he'd be about 3 towns away, and he can fire. That's insanely high range. Now the downside is they are 5-man squads, so they're very vulnerable to death. But aren't we all? And that can be kind of a problem. And rocket fire does go and miss. Pulls back just in time. And these walk regiments completely defeated while they pull back into the town. And this is a call for attack with artillery mostly. They might do a few CEV shots. With these CEVs, what they can do, this is usually pretty neat. Their range is not too bad. So what they can do is turn off their M2 Browning. And this is something I do all the time. Now keep in mind, they don't have a lot of shots. So this is entirely used for weakening things. Hit the T key, which is the fire position command, and fire on this town. And this will do some damage to the LCR-40. Now, one very funny realistic thing with the game. Destroyed buildings provide less cover than ones with a roof over their head. So in the case of this town here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 out of 8. Well, okay, I'll say 9. 6 out of 9. So, you know, you're looking at about 66 and 2/3% of your squad, or yeah, 66 and 2/3%. So 66.66666666% of your squad is going to be more vulnerable to fire than the other 33% if the buildings are destroyed. That's a total true fact. If you fire with your CES on these buildings, you can cause these buildings to be destroyed. Now, the other way of doing this, of course, is just flat out bombing. And as you completely carpet bomb this area, more and more buildings will be destroyed, and they'll become more vulnerable to attacks. And then over time, you'll be able to push. You know, I don't think I've ever mentioned it in the past because I always thought that was like a more well-known fact, but apparently it's not. What a great position for that command to be in right now. This is all, judging by the pattern, I'm going to say a napalm artillery. Where is it at? Aha! There it is. The PHL-63. This is actually a unit you should definitely split up and have it shoot in 2 areas instead of just 1, because then you get stuff like this where you have actual overlapping fire. There's fire on top of the fire here. You can't see it, but it's there. So the CP totally saved right there. Now it looks like we're gonna see these conquerors trying to joust with the CEVs. The CEVs gotta stay alive though, keep that veterancy numbers growing, and a lot of infantry have been unloaded here in the open. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen anything like mortars being deployed on. Oh, speak of the devil, there are the mortars firing away, and he's using the fire position command on the LSTR-40. Sorry, just regular attack actually, on the LSTR-40, as the riflemen will actually charge the front, which is rather unusual right now. There are no anti-infantry infantry being deployed here by our Red 4 friends, so they're going to be in a little tougher position. And bombs going away for good measure, just to make sure this is completely dead, and the riflemen move in. There is this Pioneer Squad, but unfortunately it's targeting the wrong thing. The Pioneer Squad should have been not on this Twardy. You can see the fire here indicates that it was in fact firing on the Twardy. The Twardy does go down, by the way, and that's actually a big deal. Twardys are very expensive. And they might even be able to get this walk regiment. There's only one man left in this entire Pioneer Squad. And he's claiming the places that the Fusilier is going to walk very soon. So this could actually hurt him more than it hurts him. That makes no sense. It looks like the Fusilier Squad not quite entering, just on the border outskirts, flanking around. The riflemen slowly moving up and moving in. The Americans with their heads under their heads, firing up. This is just weird. That looks really weird. I don't know what they're firing up at, but they were. They were just firing directly into the air. There was nothing there. And, yeah, it's just one of the funny little quirks of the game. I don't know why this has been smoked. They probably have a method to their madness. This is a group of guys who really love abusing smoke tactics, and every single deck they make will always involve some sort of mortar, just so they can make use of smoke tactics. Now you can see the command was killed off, but there's a TACCOM replacing it. And, you know, the position that it's in is actually directly out in the open. This is the exact position I said was actually a perfect position, because look, it's completely in the open, but when we go to the Red 4 vision, can't see it. It makes you paranoid to have your commands out in the open, but sometimes that's the best spot. Hiding in plain sight is a great location. Nobody suspects that. I can say that probably 3 or 4 days ago, I played a game where, just using my artillery, I guessed command locations. And just give you an idea of how my mind works. I looked at this base here, and I said, okay, the command's either here, here, here. That's like the most obvious locations. So I didn't suspect it was here, because this is a scary position. And this is 2 fronts, so I said, oh, it's right here. I shot there, it was there, it died. Then I went to my next base and said, well, looking at this place, the command's either here. Actually, that's the only location it could be. So, I shot here, and I shot here, and I destroyed it. Moved on to the next one. I said, huh, this one only has 1 bush. It's got to be in this area here. So I shelled at this area, killed my 3rd command. By that point, they called me a hacker. To which I told them, watch the replay. You know, you put all your commands in pretty obvious locations. That's very easily doable, and kind of keeping ahead of that, you really got to figure out what are these locations that are less obvious. Now, T-72M moving to the woods here, and these Pioneers should do very little to it. Flame will stun it and will do some damage, but hypothetically, for world, the T-72M should just wipe this out. If he continues getting these debuffs, though, oh my god, this could be very bad. You see, he has no anti-tank weapon, and the napalm also provides line of sight, which forces him to walk around, and he might actually just lose this to the Pioneers. Jesus, this is really tedious to watch. And I think he's trying to lose it to these infantry showing up. Oh god, the infantry do get smashed as they come in here. And yes, he does in fact lose that T-72 to a group of Pioneers. That's unfortunate. So lots of napalm coming in here, but there are also a lot of forces here. There's 20 Matrusans, 20 Yokjiondais. We have 30 walk regiments here. Sorry, 31. And there's this Granatomet, which is suspiciously sitting on the flank here. waiting for some juicy capitalist pigs to come into its range. And now we're seeing a napalm of mass proportion, followed with mortars here. This is looking kind of scary. And this will cut off a lot of forces here, but mostly just his, actually, given this situation. But whoa, we have one bomb going off, so that means there's actually a nice bit of forces missing here. Just going to give the Gurkhas a position to kill off this tank, no doubt. One shot has killed it, and the second shot coming from this Fusilier squad will in fact wipe it out. And it looks like we have another failed push in total from Firestarter and Fussel. And if you're keeping your count, that's like 4 or 5 by now. I've lost count. Longbow is being deployed here. This is the Superman of helicopters. It outranges most anti-air units, and because it has vision, it can also see those anti-air units almost immediately. The PHL-63 is being rallied forward, and hopefully he chooses a slightly different location. I have a feeling he's going to do the exact same napalm, and it's a good one, by the way. Napalming here is great because this is also the reinforcement line, so on top of potentially hitting the command, you're also potentially hitting any unit that's going to walk by here. We have now some Untos and some CEVs being moved up here, and they are going to try and help with the siege the best they can. Some Pram mortars. Probably going to use these against the infantry. No, actually, he's going to use them against the command. And he's just doing what I would say anyone using a low cost, as in low supply cost, artillery unit should be doing. Spam the crap out of these bush-like areas, because these bush-like areas are going to be where your commands are going to be. You're going to kill a command there, people. I guarantee it. On the action front, a Granatomet was caught out in the open. Pioneers were able to splash down a itty-bitty bit of damage. And the Granatomet quickly dispelling a Grizzly as it successfully escaped. And one of the Granatomet squads has been killed, but look at the range on this. Firing napalm from 1 billion miles away. I can see why people hate this unit so much. I mean, they love to hate it, of course. Everyone loves that unit. And now the BHL-63 will begin winding up. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's just going to fire here because this is the perfect location. And the Humvee is not that valuable, so you can use them to bait and get a few kills. The TACOM looks like it might finally be in trouble here, as it's kind of waddling through the forest here. Has basically just found that perfect little cubby hole. And once again, if those PHLs were split up and firing on 2 distinct locations, they would have had a much higher chance of hitting this TACOM. But here comes the B5 bomb. We're going to do some lovely berserking action here. Is he going to go for that Lod Stinger? Oh my god, gets shot down by double Lod Stingers. Where is the bomb going to hit? Oh, he still thinks it's all the way over there. Well, now he definitely knows it's not there. But the TACOM is getting stunned. It could potentially die here. And this is actually also a pretty good, indicator. You have to look at where the fire isn't, and that's the potential location. So you drop the bomb here, and that was a good choice. There's also this area, this area, and this area. So there's only 3 possible locations. You just have to, artillery those 3 locations, and you've gotten that kill basically. Having said that, the number of forces here is actually insanely high. Now you're probably wondering, Troublemaker, why is he not pulling all these forces here from the north, moving them to the south, and using them? The perfect reason is actually because of artillery and because of bombs. He wants to keep his forces as spread as humanly possible, so he doesn't lose everything to 1 napalm or 1 bomb or anything along those lines. And that is very, very likely to happen. So Walker Regiment tangoing here with some Pioneers. Pioneers able to get in behind him, however, which will allow him to, get shot at by multiple angles. Seems to be the case. And he's also a little bit in fire. Just 50% of this town is on fire here, so he is taking a little bit of fire damage. I don't know if I agree with that choice. But he will kill off the Walk Regiment and will be able to move his U.S. Marines into town. Playing very vicariously here. This is actually kind of scary and tight here for Razzman and Zerydal. They have 18 minutes. Sorry, let me correct myself there. They have 16 minutes to kill off this TACOM, and that's not a lot of time. Now there is a lot of focus going on right now. Every single one of these moves, every single one of them is a very important micro move, and he's bringing his vehicles in to the woods here to try and wipe out whatever he can. The Legions will be coming just behind and actually not able to kill a single U.S. Marine or a single Gurkha. The Legion are engaged and should easily wipe this out. They got Granato Mech on tow coming in to do some damage. But here comes the Spipiz Lux AI, which has that auto cannon as well as an anti-infantry weapon here, the MG3. So it'll be able to do a lot of damage to something like a Legion, which has absolutely no RPG. And neither does this Granato. Neither of them have an RPG. So they'll get wiped out pretty easily by this one recon vehicle. Now the Granatomets going to town on these U.S. Marines. Oh my god, Firebomb comes in here. Does he get enough of his payload off? No. No, he does not. Oh well. So now we're seeing a Leopard 1A5 come in for the first time. That's an unusual twist. And he's bringing in some supplies to try and keep some of these squads alive. A lot of them going through a lot already. The Gurkhas are, if I remember, quite expensive. Yeah, 30 points for the Gurkhas, 30 for the U.S. Marines. These are not your cheapy units. And U.S. Marines quickly going to dispatch a Spiz BMP-2. Oh my god, he gets a stun on the riflemen. They're going to come behind and barely keeping that U.S. Marine alive. He does have a Stalwart here, so he can actually resupply this, but I don't know if that Stalwart has enough supplies to cover everything. On the meantime, Gurkhas being charged by a Walk Regiment. Pioneers getting wiped out by Legion, looks like. This can go so many ways depending on where the Pioneers actually lay their fire. And looks like he's going to focus his shots all around at others and not at the Legion. So, yeah, he should get wiped out pretty quickly by the Legion. It's been a very, very consistent and potent strategy. And as I said in the original synopsis, this is kind of the way to go. This is the aggressive play. This is the only aggressive play, because otherwise you're forced to put infantry in this town. And that makes you very, very vulnerable to being pushed over here. So this is the play. And unfortunately, he's kind of pot committed to it. Now, since they did get those early points, they're not, you know, focusing on CV sniping or anything like that. So that gives them a decently significant advantage. But it's one that can be eroded pretty quickly as soon as this TACOM gets wiped out. And CEVs firing that super, super long range shot, wiping out the SPO support vehicle. And easily one of the better investments of the game right here. They've been alive the whole time. And these Lod Stingers have just been psycho killer bosses. 5 shots gone off them. Grizzly's moving in, gonna get picked up by those Walk Regiments. Probably a bit of a misclick there. Happens to the best of us, I guess. And Stalwart completely empty, and as you can see, these squads are not quite where they want to be. But whoa, we have something unusual. He's using these Gurkhas to actually try and get behind enemy lines and do some sneaky attacks. Now the downside is that he doesn't have the opportunity to resupply these Gurkhas. It's entirely a mission of how would I say this? Suicide? A suicide squad? That's right. So he's trying to look for a command over here. He hasn't found one, so he's going to go through a very non-atypical path, because he thinks if there's no command here, there's definitely going to be forces here. Why would there not be forces? So he's gone through a very non-atypical path. We're going to slide in here and hit these PHL-63s, but the Z9A has found him. This is 4 napalm. Not just 2 anymore, 4. So somehow these are the luckiest TACOMs in the world, because the circle that is around them is the only place that wasn't hit by napalm. That is so lucky. And as you can see, they're still stacked. He's still fire positioned the exact same locations, so still stacking just a little too much. Legion, by the way, pushing across this bottom flank, bomb killing the rest of these infantry, almost able to get this anti-tank weapon here, and almost able to officially take that position over. But luckily, able to fight that off with tank and vehicle. Yuk Jeondai has been deployed in the forest, specifically to take on these Gurkhas, and as well we see some T-72s coming in here, and the T-72, you know, not too shabby vehicle. So we have a layer of smoke being used here, and this is actually a really neat form of cover. You can dip his CEVs forward, take some free pot shots, quickly, as soon as he takes one shot, move back, bait some of the Conqueror's rockets, and then move back in. That is so sneaky. And now he's actually covering the Conquerors in smoke here, because he's a sneaky guy. They actually have a command here waiting for this command to die. I guess I'm really just surprised that command hasn't died yet. More Fusiliers will be firing on the southern flank here, and I have to say this is a rather unusual game, because usually at some point someone tries to do a push here, but no one has tried to push there. In the southern jungling area, clearly Fussel has been winning this. Unfortunately, seems to be lacking in gas supplies right now. Just using a few units, so not too many. There are some spots where you can put some interesting AT, like right here. It's a pretty interesting spot. And you can put some AA there, but nothing that is substantial, because the big reinforcement path, as you can see, will be right over here. That's the one. Not this one here. This is for the southern flank, which once again, I'm just surprised that no one has even thought of pushing other flanks. But this is kind of a dire situation in the south here. They kind of have to push. The light rifleman is not good close range. It is very bad. It is a long-range anti-tank weapon. So the KPZ T-72 just coming here and flattening everyone. It has taken one tank's worth of damage, and maybe if you count the damage there, probably 2 tanks worth of damage. But only one died, and completely cleared that jungle. And now things are not looking so hot on this front. A lot of missing supplies here for the anti-tank weapons. We're seeing a bit of smoke coming up here in a very small base, and we might see something. Or maybe this is a fake. We do have a Yuk Jeondai moving forward as well. We can just as easily peek in. And now he definitely knows where it is. He sacrificed a Spoo, which by the way is just good stand. If you push a line, you should push at least one vehicle as far forward as possible to see where it goes. And looks like we might see a TACOM get moved. I saw it flash there. Oh, actually what he's going to do is he's going to sacrifice it and move his command here, and actually going to smoke this area here. So this is actually going to be very smart. It's hiding in plain sight. He's shown in the past that the CEV has been using this smoke as a form of cover, so maybe he won't expect it. Having said that, here comes a big 25 bomber. Going to go ahead and drop on some of these infantry, and yes, not quite as lucky as he used to be with these Stingers. The Stingers used to just kill. And now not so much. So, looks like he's going to continue off the old strategy of pushing infantry forward. And he's actually going to throw this tank forward. Why not, I guess. He could probably, in the least, kill off these large Stingers here. And probably not much else. In fact, still doesn't even have vision of the large Stingers. And here comes some Abrams. That is a scary number of Abrams. One Tin God recently, I'll put the link in the description, was asked to make a video on the cost effectiveness of Blue 4 units, and he said the M11P Abrams he felt was the most cost effective tank in the game. CP quickly juking out a Block 52 bomb and will continue to reposition himself. He's got this wall of smoke here. It's got a double T function here. He's using this as a way for him to micro his tanks and vehicles. He's been doing this with the CEVs in the past, but now he has those nice Abrams to do that with. He's also using this as a way of that is the most slow motion bomb I've ever seen. Almost destroys an Abrams. He's also using this as a way to block any kind of forces from hitting his CP here. Now, if there's like a helicopter swung around this lake area here, hypothetically you could hit this, but this area here has not been pushed, so whatever helicopter they bring in would have to be exceptionally cheap. And there are some pretty cheap, like 20 and 30 point helicopters in the game with some rockets or missiles, but not an astounding amount that people will put in their decks. Especially if you're playing any of these decks, you might think they're not worth your time. So yeah, huge Q7 and stir it up. Gonna get rid of a lot of units here. Prowlers have no targets, as most of these guys are infrareds, and you're gonna lose quite a few Prowlers there. Now, given the situation, it looks like the goal of Fussel and Firestarter is actually to just kind of survive right now. And here's what I'm talking about. The Salamander has been brought up. A longbow as well, but longbow doesn't actually have any anti-air capabilities other than his main cannon, which is apparently good enough. Strop 2 coming up though to kind of shush away that longbow. Longbow outranges and gets 1 kill on the Strop and dies himself. Probably the most evenest possible trade possible, except for the fact that there's a limited number of longbows. Now, in terms of vision, we have to see really quickly. Okay, so he doesn't see the command. There is a pile of smoke here and here. There's 2 commands. One just got planted here, and he's got a smoke. Put another one here. And keep in mind, just part of their playstyle, they have more commands in reserve. Keeping commands in play is a big goal there. So they have 3 commands for 1 base. And as they continue with this smoke, they're going to do very, very well. Now, this smoke was enough to trick these PHLs into thinking that there's a command here. So they've launched all sorts of napalm here. And, ooh, actually looks like he's splitting finally. So also another pile of napalm here. This is the first time he split the entire game. But the ruse is still quite good. Looks like this bomb is headed for this area here. And, ooh, the damage on that was good. So he gets the kill, and he'll get to bleed away. How many points? 1 point? Maybe 2? Are we see 2 points here? 2 points? Could it be 3 points? Barely 3 points. But a 4th point. So 4 points gained out of that. He still needs 22 more to force a tie. And a tie is not a win by any means. Salamandra coming in again. And he's now just using this to kind of watch over this area. He wants to be able to peekaboo in. But if the smoke wall goes this way, the Salamander will not be able to see. So we might see, oh, that's exactly what's happening, a reemergence of this long wall here of smoke. So he can put this command back in play in that area. And also really mess with the minds of Zerydal and Razzman. Because a person has one extra command, okay, that's something. Person has 2 extra commands, that's a little wonky. And that's what he has here. So many extra commands just sitting in. He's bringing in an extra command to place here. He's resupplying this other command. Should probably move his Abrams in as well, but you know, beggars could not be choosers. And it's looking really bleak. This is a really bizarre ending. It's been a really bizarre game, specifically because no action has happened anywhere else. Like this MD5000, so within range of the Gurkhas. The Gurkhas can really easily kill it, but it hasn't even pushed. None of these flanks have been pushed. The only one that has been pushed has been this one singular flank here. These Hussars and Gurkhas are able to get behind enemy lines. See how far you can get with that. And basically, if you're wondering why there's no more infantry here, and why there's now infantry here, the plan of Firestarter and Fussel has changed. He's now putting all of his infantry in this town, these anti-infantry types here, in case of a push. He wants to hold on to this 2-point base in the minimum. He's not worried about pushing anymore, putting on that pressure, because the game's almost over. There's not an opportunity to kill a command anymore. They don't feel it. There's only a position to hold on to. We do have a push in the south here. This is very vulnerable to a good bombing. There's not much for AA cover. There's this HQ7 here, but that's it. Smoke has been deployed to cover the way. So their tactics have very much changed. And these guys going behind enemy lines are kind of Hail Marys. They're kind of like, maybe we find command. Maybe command gets killed by Soviet machine. Actually, these are Americans. They shouldn't be doing that accent. And they'll run straight to these Fusiliers who are going to kill them immediately. Reload time has happened. They are not close enough together. Pioneers will lay down some fire. This will wipe out the Yukjon die as well. And we have a Leopard 1A5 coming in here. So this ZTZ-85 is probably the scariest part of all this. And actual napalm, not smoke, will wipe out units here. Sometimes when you've been smoking that long, you just think the whole world's nothing but smoke, you know? And we have a split happening here. Fusiliers might be able to get these prams here. These are your mortar units. And look how deadly close he is to that Jiwi band right now. Now these tanks should just kind of spin around and do something. Push it in the south. Not much left on it, but there is still, like I said, these ZTZ-85s are still in play. These can wipe out these tanks. These can wipe out the Crow-Tau. These can wipe out a lot of units. But they have 3 minutes to go, and an M1A2 Abrams has been rallied in to try and help deal with this, and with the support of mortars and bombs, they were successful in cleaning that up. He had a command sitting here on reserve waiting to initiate Charlie. If he could initiate a Charlie right there, that would have been a guaranteed win. A +4 tick is hell crazy. And Fusilier gets a ZTZ-85 kill. Will he get 2 ZTZ-85 kills? Now there's this Salamandra waiting overhead as it is moving in closer and closer, and looks like his tank buddy will in fact get away. In the meantime, the smoke wall continues. This is just persistence, endless persistence. And as the command that's been sitting here takes damage, he pulls it away. You could probably move in this Humvee to replace it. And whoa, these Gurkhas are doing crazy damage. The LSTR-40 is almost completely eradicated here. The WLK will come in for the big wins, of course. And we have some guesses here, because these are the Hail Marys you're looking for. And a command actually getting rallied in. And he's kind of guessing like I would. There's a bush here. This bush is too far forward. This bush is too far forward. This one is not. So there's only, 2 shots you can think of taking there. I'm glad I'm not the only person who thinks that way. So Cold getting killed by a Crow-Tau. Here comes the bomber. Actually, not even going to artillery. He's going to run through a Pipods and a Shep. I don't think this is going well. There's also a block in here. SU-22M is also being forsaken for some reason. All part of the Hail Marys, I guess. This is a front that hasn't been pushed. They have no information on what's here at all. That was the riskiest of all riskiest plays. And losing basically 300 points worth of bombers is going to severely affect the end kill-to-death ratio for Zerydal and Razzman. But keep that in mind when you're looking at the score in the end. It's going to be very much favoring Fussel and Firestarter, because in these last few seconds we're seeing a lot of units getting thrown away that weren't earlier in the game. And with ridiculous amounts of mortars. Let's count them, people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 mortars firing, keeping that shadowy wall up. There isn't much they can do. And as we're ending this, I just want to end on this note. Look where the riflemen are. They're not in cover. They're out in the open. Why? Because any unit that crosses this shadowy death, be it tank or infantry, will immediately get eradicated by this heat damage here. And this WILK has to take a very unusual path here, instead of going straight across, just for that very reason. But the rifleman squad, if they move up just a teensy bit, nope, napalm will be good. But here's the thing. Boom! Yeah, that was exactly what was supposed to happen. He got rocketed as soon as he hit the threshold. So he didn't need to be in cover there just because the smoke creates an artificial cover. And the Hornet not getting any of the targets he wants to get with the Prowler. Yeah, I think this is GG. Congratulations, Firestarter and Fussel with a big win over Razzman and Zerydal. I think we'll probably see a lot more of Zerydal and Razzman in the future. They play exceptionally well. If you look at the two teams in terms of like how well they played, it feels as though Zerydal and Razzman played much better. Now, like I said, there were 300 losses in just Bombers. So the difference in points is not that large. It's about 700 to 800 points, which is honestly not that much. That's pretty darn even. The score, inning score, also pretty darn even. You know, you're looking at a difference of 21 points. That's not a lot. But, without further ado, my name is Troublemakers, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, if you would like to join me, make sure to add me on Steam or just look up my name on Steam. I broadcast all day, every day, all the time. Wargame. And other games, actually, now that I think about it. Definitely check it out. You can say whatever awkward, unusual stuff you want to on my broadcasts. Until next time, though, my name is Troublemaker.